Hey, it's me, Bria, and I'm a lifestyle coach. I help moms reclaim their time and energy. Look at you, taking this moment to recharge. I see you. During the Doulas Bloom podcast, I share tools and resources with my clients and community to spend time with themselves. The key to you living as your authentic self is embracing change and having courage. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant in life, and observing yourself throughout each season will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Are you interested in joining my one-on-one coaching program? You can book a sales call with me by visiting the link in the description to schedule your session today. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hey everybody, and happy International Women's Month. I am so excited for this series. I have been hard at work all of February recording with amazing women to bring you their stories. I created the Girl Chat series not only to share the stories of amazing women, but to also create time capsules of our growth. I think it's so important for us to go back and witness ourselves. And through this series, I have created a little time capsule, not only for me, but also for the women who joined me in these chats. We get to go back and witness ourselves in these moments. And I teach my clients and my community to do this on a monthly and weekly level. And so I'm so excited to expand and grow this series as time goes on. It's going to be so interesting to have guests come back on to the series. But I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is your first time here, my name is Bria. I am a lifestyle coach. I host the Doulas Bloom podcast. I am the creator of the Doulas Bloom community, and I am the leader of the village. So I'm so excited to bring you this March 2022 cohort of Girl Chats. I have committed to doing this every year, as last year in 2021, I did a series, an IGTV series of Girl Chats, which will also be shared during this month, that has inspired me to continue to share stories and to have conversations with women about their stories and their lives and what's brought them to this point. So for the rest of March 2022, you will be getting stories from 20 plus women about their stories, about where they are right now and what has brought them to this point. And I am so excited to do this again. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's shared so openly in this series. And I am so excited to hop right into this conversation. Clearly, you clicked on this one because something in the title or the description, or you know the person who's going to be on this chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I am so looking forward to our conversation about where you are a year from now, 2 years from now. I'm just excited to have you back for another Girl Chat. But I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to stop rambling and hop right into this conversation because it is so beautiful, and I don't take any of this for granted, and that's why I really had to come in here hot before we even got into the conversation just to share that. And yeah, I'm gushing right now, but thank you so much for listening, you as the viewer who's experiencing this conversation, this Girl Chat, and thank you to everybody who's been on the Girl Chat in its entirety. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna let the Girl Chat go. But if you're interested in being part of a Girl Chat with us here on the Doulas Bloom podcast, let me know. You can go to the description. There's a link down there for you to join the wait list. There's a wait list, y'all. There's a wait list for the Girl Chats because so many people wanted to be a part of this, and I'm just excited because we're gonna have more Girl Chats here in the future. So if you want to be a part of the next cohort, you need to join the wait list. Okay, have these conversations, share your story, share your insights and your gems with the community, and let us know what's going on. I don't want us to hide and think that we don't, like, our stories aren't enough. Like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much from the women in my life, and that's why this series means so much to me. But again, I want to create space for you to enjoy this conversation. And again, thank you so much to everybody who's listening, who's being a part of this series. I am happy that you're here. Again, if you want to be a part of this series, you can join the waitlist. The link is down below. You can go to doulasbloom.com/podcast guest to join the waitlist. So without further ado, it's time for a Girl Chat. It's time for a girl
Enjoy.
chat. Hey, it's time for a girl chat. It's time for a girl chat. Hey, time for a girl chat. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Dual Spoon podcast. It is me, it is Bria, and today, by the theme song, you know that we're doing a girl chat, and we are in our International Women Month series, and I'm so excited to bring you another story. Today, we have Jojo in the house. So before we hop right into the conversation, I'm going to give Jojo the floor to introduce herself. So everybody say a big warm welcome to Jojo and let her feel welcome. So, hey, how are you doing?
Hello. So my name is Jojo. I'm really excited to be here today. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in Salinas, California. Moved to San Jose, California, so not too far from home, but an hour away. I'm a first generation Latina. Both of my parents are from Guanajuato, Mexico. So my siblings and I, we are first gen in the States. And yeah, I'm really excited to chat with you all today.
I am so excited that you're here, and I'm happy that we actually got to do this. And as we were talking before about just where we are right now, and we're both in this season of transition, and
Mhm.
before we get into any of my icebreakers or anything like that, I would love it if you could just share about what self-care practices are you doing right now to keep yourself grounded through all of this, because not only do I need a tip, but I'm sure everybody who else is listening can get some value as well.
Self-care is something I really definitely practice daily. So I'm currently am transitioning out of my current role. I am going to transition to another full-time. And I'm also a life and career coach, so I am also doing that on the side. But something I definitely practice for self-care is I do work out 5 times a week, and obviously did not start from one day to another. Started building a routine, momentum, but I advise students all day. I have meetings all day. So for me, my alone time and just put some headphones on, go to the gym and get a good workout really re-energizes me and lets me know I'm taking care of myself at the end of the day. And honestly, my skincare routine, I think those are two things I for
Mm.
sure do daily. Right after the shower, I do my skincare routine. I am a dog mom as well. So I do his little tear skin routine
I
right
love
after I
it.
do mine. So he already knows that once I'm out of the shower and I'm doing my own skincare routine, he's next. So yeah, those are two for sure self-care practices that I like to do. And I guess my third tip would be really check in with yourself and listen to your body. Like, what do you need that day?
Mm-hmm.
And if you need rest, then get some rest. If you need
Yeah.
to go on a drive, like whatever you need that day, really sit with yourself and ask, like, what do I need today? And sometimes I'm like, maybe it could just be a break and just watch TV all day. And that sounds awesome. So,
That is what I am looking forward to tomorrow. I told my sister, I said, don't talk to me tomorrow. I will be in the sunken place. I will be watching all my shows on Hulu. That's what tomorrow is for. Today was this just week I've been doing so much. And so I'm looking forward to Saturday morning where I watch not cartoons, but my shows on Hulu. So thank you so much
yeah.
for sharing that. I love that you do your dog self-care. I don't have a pet right now, but I know that I would be that type of pet mom. I'm like, come on, baby, you got it. You come in here and get it in with us. I love that so much. I just wanted to share a little bit
Yeah.
about for me, one of the biggest things that I do daily is brushing my teeth. That is such a big therapeutic moment for me. And some people are probably like, Bria, that's not self-care. Yes, it is. Taking care of yourself in the little things is really what self-care is all about. And
Mhm.
I look forward to brushing my teeth after I have dinner. That's kind of, again, one of my cues to this is now your time, you're winding down. Um,
Mhm.
and I like using little things like that to help me wind down, because sometimes the day could just be going so fast, and you can forget little things like that. And being really intentional about your self-care or your skincare
Mhm.
and your
Mhm.
oral hygiene can really just ground you. So I
Mhm.
love that you also incorporate those practices. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
No,
But
thank you for sharing. I'm like, I think that's really interesting because I'm like, yeah, people would see it as like, oh, well, everyone should be brushing their teeth, right? We do
yeah,
it day to day, but it's like, I guess it's the intention and the mindset you go into doing that. Like, for example, some people are like, oh, I have to go to the gym or I have to shower, but it's like,
yeah,
what does that time mean to you? For me, that means relaxing, downtime, you know? So it's like for
Mm-hmm.
you, that's like your cue of like, okay, the day's unwinding and something for
Yeah.
myself and my own like own self-care. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's all about the intention behind the action. That's what we're all about over here at
Yes.
Dulis Bloom, just being intentional about the
Mhm.
way that we're living our life.
Mhm.
And before we like hop right into it, I got to reel us back in and give everybody a little context of like how we know each other, like how do we get in this room together? And so we are in the same group coaching program, Five Figure Freedom. Shout out to DL for bringing us together. And I like to do this little thing where we do first impressions. So you can just let me know your first impression of me, like your first encounter, interaction, or anything like that. And then I'll share mine. And so I'll let you go first.
Yeah, for sure, Bria. So I actually joined Five Figure Freedom. It was Five Figure Format at the time, November of last year, so 2021. So I'm
Mhm.
fairly new into the program, and then I did remember December, January. I was like, okay, I need to be more active on Slack. You know, I do work
Yeah.
and I'm a dog mom, so I was like, I want to build community. And I remember going, like seeing people's names, and I remember your comment on Slack came up, and I was like, my first impression was like, yes. I need people that want to build community because that's what I want to, you know, and just
Mhm.
seeing you putting yourself out there, I'm like, okay, I need to put myself out there. Like, I really want to connect with these women of color who are, you know, wanting to pursue their own coaching business as well, and
Yeah.
like live life with intention. You all are very driven. You all are very like passionate. Like you
Mhm.
all practice your own passions differently, and I'm just like, I get energy from people that are very ambitious,
Yeah.
oriented. So my first impression was really like, I need to be friends with her. Like, I want to
let's,
build community with her.
let's be
And I'm so
friends.
excited we chatted today because I'm like, yeah, I want to get to know the people that are part of this program with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. My first impression of you was, oh my gosh, she's a career coach. I am, but not only like you're a career coach, but like you're a career coach for college students and like you do advising on, or I don't know if that's the job you're transitioning out of, but like at the time, like you were doing that. And I'm really close friends with my career coach and my career advisor from college. Like I dropped out of school, but I worked in the career center. And so like I knew how much your role was like impacting people because like my career coach was my first coach and like she kind of was the one who inspired me to like even consider the coaching world. In hindsight, I didn't really realize that's what I was like so invested in with her, but I love that that was like my immediate connection. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I understand your world and like helping
Mhm.
people get internships and all of this stuff. Like I literally worked in that office. And so I was scheduling appointments and I just felt connected to you because of like this kind of joint experience. And so I just loved hearing you get coached about the way that you talk about the people that you want to help because I'm like, we need you. We need your help. And you know, the first generation students that you were talking about wanting to help and transition and prepare for like graduate school, I was like, although I'm not looking to going to graduate school, I'm just like people going through this season. A lot of my friends could use additional support in this transition. So I was just like admiring your work
Yeah,
when yeah, and I get all excited when I talk about my career coach. I just had a chat with her today and she was also on this series. So her chat will be shared. If you guys haven't listened to that, y'all should check it out because it was a reunion. But
that's so cute.
anyways, back to what we're talking about, my long little sap story about
Oh, I appreciate sharing that because I feel like, yeah, sometimes you know you resonated, you connected to like your first career coach,
yeah.
and you know me like transitioning from undergrad to grad school and like working as an advisor in higher education. I see my students, they're graduating seniors and they're like,
Mhm.
what's next? Like that transition period can be so scary, especially when
Yeah.
you're the first one doing this, you're the first one of your family, and it's like that advice, that mentor, that coach, that person that has done it already can definitely help you
Hmm.
meet that next chapter of your life.
Yeah, I just love soundboarding with people, especially someone who can kind of see the bigger picture that sometimes I'm too like in it to see because like this is my life and I'm in it and I'm like I need to make this decision and they're
Mhm.
just like, well, let's look at the key objectives. Is this really what you want? What's that like goal that you want to hit? What's the outcome? And so I really appreciate just like coaching in general and just like people holding space for people to like figure things out on their own. So yeah, I love it. And I would love for you to like share your story about like everything. I always say everything and people like get overwhelmed, but like as much as you're willing to share key milestones about like what's brought you to the version of yourself that we're witnessing today, because like I'm sure there's a lot that brought you here and things that you had to overcome. So if you want to share a little bit about that or a lot of bit about that, I would love to hear. I'm ready to sit back and just listen.
All right. Well, yes, I'm ready to share this because a lot has actually happened. And I feel like it's really important for you and for the listeners to share, like listen a little bit about my story because I feel our identities and where we come from play a huge role on where our life is today and how we navigate the world. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a first generation Latina. I'm the second oldest. I have an older sister, two younger siblings. And I was the first one to leave to college. So the first one to leave the home right at 18. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go to college. But there's a lot to that story. I come from a single parent household at the age of 10. Both of my parents got separated when I was 10 and then they got divorced. And I feel that was a huge pivotal moment for me that if people were to ask me like, why do you live your life the way you do right now? Or like, just kind of like, why do you like, yeah, basically live the life you live right now? It's like, I remember being 10 years old and just noticing as a kid, like I didn't have a choice of how my life went about. It was like you go with your mom, you go with your dad, you go
Mm-hmm.
here, you go there. And I grew up with both of my parents until 10. So I remember, weekends with family, both parents in the household, the family dream, the American dream. At the end of the day, both of my parents are immigrants. So they got their American dream, they got their homes, they got their careers. But when they got divorced, that all shattered. And as a 10-year-old, I was like, well, when in my mind, I was like, I'm never gonna let someone do that to me. Like I
Mm,
remember being young, but not ever wanting to give someone the ability to just
yeah.
be like, you're losing it all. Um, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was able to work and provide for us and have my mom raise us. So that was like definitely a privilege in that sense. I was able to have my mom come to school nights, take me to school, all of that. Um, so after the divorce, I realized I'm like I've always wanted to be a teacher, so that kind of connects to my career. My teachers really helped me with that transition of my parents divorcing, and just trying to stay in school, all of that. And at that time, I was like, teachers really helped me. I want to do the same to students that
Yeah.
might be going through this as kids. We were kids, we're teens, and it's hard to understand what's happening when adults are figuring out their own stuff from their end and they're hurting at the end of the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my mindset was like, I'm going to go to college because if I want to be a teacher, I was told you need to go to college. Again, being first gen, I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was like, I want to be a teacher. So navigating that life of being my teen years being raised by divorced parents, a single parent household, I was like, okay, I want to have a choice. I felt it goes back to that. Like as a kid, as a teen, I didn't have a choice. And of like how I lived my life, where I lived. So I'm like, okay, college is gonna be my opportunity. I saw it as my exit ticket, honestly. So that's why right when I turned 18, I was like, I'm out of here. So I moved to San Jose and I really enjoyed my life here so far. I studied to become a teacher. I went to grad school to become a teacher. But through that experience, I learned I just love helping others. That experience taught me I love helping others just navigate wherever their life is in that season. For me, I actually started as an academic coach when I was like 19 at San Jose State. That's where I went for my undergrad. And through those experiences, I learned I loved helping individuals one-on-one, specifically first gen. Because again, we're the first ones navigating these spaces, these institutions that weren't created for students like students of color. So I was like, this is what I want to pursue. Um, Through that experience again, like I realized, wait, maybe teaching is not it. When I was in grad school, because I was an academic advisor already during my time in grad school, and I was like, I love the one-on-one. The classroom was a goal when I was 18, and I think that was where my life was at the moment. But now I want to help students one-on-one. some students need support, personal support, academic support, career support in higher ed. So being able to help in those different areas really inspired me to continue my career in higher education and then start my own coaching services on the side for, first gen students that maybe didn't want to go the traditional route and go to 4-year university or a 2-year or grad school, but it's like, okay, well, what are your life goals? What are your career goals? Let's explore that and let's make sure you wake up to the life you want to live. So I guess my life experience with my parents, a divorce, and then navigating higher education as a first-gen student really brought me to the version I am today, waking up to the life I want, making the choices that I want at the end of the day, because I feel like life's not guaranteed. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow or next week. And then right now, everything that's going on in our world, it's like, you don't know. And yeah, it's just like, you don't know. And I feel like when I was in grad school too, I was in a long-term relationship. And I feel like during my grad school years, I wasn't happy anymore. But I felt like, this is what I know and it feels safe, I guess. And then grad school came to an end and I decided not to go into teaching. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what makes me happy. I started reflecting on what's serving me in my life right now and what's not, and what choices do I have and what changes can I make, even if it hurt me at the end of the day. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit of like why I'm navigating my life the way I do today.
I loved so many pieces of that, and I could relate to like the exit ticket of like, just running away after, you turn 18. I enlisted in the military, like fresh out. I was still in high school and I was like, Mom, this is happening. You can't tell me nothing. I already signed the contract. And so like, I completely understand just like kind of making decisions and like going after what you want. But I really think it was so beautiful how like you allowed yourself that moment to like reevaluate, is the classroom for you? Like, especially when you realize that one-on-one was what was really making you like happy. And so I always think about like constantly, the way that I think about like living my life is like my authentic version of myself and my future self is always evolving because my present self is always growing and taking in new information as well. And so it's like I have to evolve with where I have to evolve my vision for myself now as I'm walking through it. And that's why I'm all about like embracing change, because like you said, like you want to keep doing things that make you happy and make you feel proud and glad to be alive, because like you said, it's not guaranteed. And so that's kind of what aided me into quitting my job with no plan. I'm just like, I know it's all going to work out because like that's just how life is. Like I think the fear and like the comfortability of like what's happening and that versus the uncertainty, it's like, I'd rather stay here and like be, but I'm like I exactly, I couldn't do that. And time and time again, like even when I changed my major so many times when I was in school, I was like, this ain't working. Let's try something else. Like I just wasn't afraid to explore. And I never regretted my decisions. I think that's really important to like stick beside yourself when you make a decision, whether in hindsight it was a good or bad or desirable or undesirable choice. Like with the information you had at the time you made the decision, I trusted myself. I trusted myself that that was the best thing for me in that moment.
Yes, I love how you put it. You put it exactly super beautiful with your words. Like I agree exactly. But I would love to hear more about you. And like I know you said that you resonate with some of my stories, some of the things I shared. So I would love to hear like kind of like what brought you to where you're at today in your life as well.
Thank you for asking me. Like I'm always like, this is conversational, but I always like just kind of focus on everybody else. But I'll share my story here because it's a lot. I was also raised in a single parent household. My mom actually got remarried when I was in high school. So that was a very interesting experience of like having someone else come into your home when it was just my siblings and my mom who I've always known. And so just like that experience in itself was like very interesting. But I'm one of five. So I'm the second oldest of five. And my two youngest siblings, there's a huge age gap. There's like 10 plus years between us. And so we call them the second wave. My mom, when she got married again, she had some more kids.
Your wave came.
The second wave came. And so like just being a big sister, what was very important for me was just to always be what's the word I'm looking for? A vessel of possibility for them, just to show them that they don't have to stick to the norm. And that's kind of what aided me into making my decisions. Cause I'm going to be honest, y'all, I was not the great child, the chosen one. I was the problem child. So my siblings always saw me like stand up for myself. And my mom always tells me, Bria, you taught me so many lessons about just like respecting people in general. Cause I'm like, just because you're my mom doesn't mean you can just treat me any kind of way. Not saying my mom treated me poorly, but I'm just saying like, I didn't like to get lectured. And I was the kid who was like, are you done? Because you're not even letting me talk. And so I was just that person who always vocalized what I was feeling inside, no matter how many times people told me to like be quiet or that's disrespectful. I was just like, but this is how I'm feeling. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm like trying to voice my piece. And so having that experience growing up and then enlisting in the military where everything was stripped away from me, I couldn't talk back. I'm a very bubbly, giggly, smiley person. And for me to always have to keep my bearing, not be able to smile was like extremely hard in that experience. But, you know, I made it through the experience, not saying that I didn't stay in the military very long because I broke my hip. And so just that experience of like being injured and leaving because of my injury, I honestly am grateful that I broke my hip. It's weird to say, but I don't think I would have made that decision to leave if it didn't happen. Cause like when you sign a contract, that's just what's happening. And so I really do believe that experience was a divine intervention. It was like, okay, Bria, this is not for you. This is where you don't need to be. Figure out something else, try something else. And so right after that experience, I enlisted in school or enrolled. I enrolled in school. And so I attended school in Denver, Colorado. And as you can see, I'm still running away from home. And that experience was beautiful, but that experience altogether, I was just like, where am I going? What do I want to do? Growing up, I always knew I wanted to help people. And I've gotten to this point in my life where helping people doesn't have to look like a certain career path. Because I used to want to, I wanted to be an OBGYN. I still want to support women through just being a woman. You know, I want to be a doula at some point in my life, but I realized that there's so many ways to help people, and I'm not obsessed over a title for myself because I wanted to be a chef. I still cook for people. It's still a way that I can share, you know, love for people. And so just like there's a lot of things that Bria wanted to be. I wanted to be a healthcare provider. I wanted to cook for people, be in like hospitality. And obviously I wanted to be a business owner. So my last major before the pandemic happened and I ended up dropping out due to the pandemic, I was an entrepreneurship student. And one of my defining moments of my college career was like, there's a lot because I was a student assistant, which we talked about. I helped on a week-long career event series called Future Week, which was so much fun. We had so many events. I could talk all day about Future Week, but I think one homecoming weekend, they did a Shark Tank type on campus, and I ended up winning first place. And so that's when I knew I was like, Bria, you could do this business thing. And so I have so many interests. I am a creative person. I make music, I doodle, I make art, I make YouTube videos. Like I love being creative. And so that's why I'm just like, there's not one way to be helping people, whether it's making them laugh or creating an experience. Like I'm just open to whatever I feel called to in that moment to share with people. And I'm just more concerned about taking care of myself so I can continue to create the way that I want to create. So through all of that experience, like I just always had to come back to my sense of self and know that I can't pour into anybody else if I'm not taking care of myself. Because during my college experience, I worked 2 jobs to pay for tuition. I worked 7 days a week. And on Fridays, I worked at both of my jobs. I opened at one and I closed at the other. So it's just like, I really kind of pushed myself so hard for this thing I'm going to call it a piece of paper because that's what it was. That's what it meant to me. At the end of the day, I was like, this doesn't even I don't feel good doing this. And so pandemic happens and I have to move back home, which is a place I've been running away from. And so coming home and sitting with all the energy of what I left here and what I didn't, all the open wounds that I just didn't heal. And that was the start of me being okay, Bria, no more running, no more avoiding things. It's time to really get a handle on where you want to go, with the intention of being open to figuring out how I want to move in my life. And I'm all about intentionality. I could talk about it all day, but it really, for me, it boils down to, how do you want to feel? And how can you ensure that you're going to feel that at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year? What do you want to do? And so that's kind of how it brought me to this point of starting my podcast and just sharing my journey of the way that I live my life. And then now holding space for other people to share their stories. And then all the moms that I work with, and just all of it. I'm just so obsessed with women in general, and just supporting them through all the things, because life is cyclical. And I think once you realize the patterns that you're in, your menstrual cycle, your energetic cycle, and how things move through your life, then you can get a hold on it. And I think through all my experiences, I transitioned so much that I had to create this certainty for myself within my body, and understanding that my body is my first home. And once I understand how to navigate my body and my soul being in this body, then I can navigate any situation. But that's kind of my story condensed.
I know, I feel we can talk hours about life stories, because there's so many other chapters within the chapter, right? But I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. No, definitely. I think definitely to highlight, our experiences to shape how we navigate transition. I think always goes back to ourselves. How are we taking care of ourselves? Do we know ourselves? When our body reacts to certain events, I know for me, I get anxiety when things are triggered me, and learning how to navigate that, because at the end of the day, you have your body, and that's so
yeah. For me, it's all about how can I become the master of self? So regardless of what situation I go into, I know how to respond to the messages my body is sending me. I also have anxiety. And so just knowing what my tics are, and knowing how I can calm myself down, okay, Bria, go for a walk. Okay, you need to eat something. Have you drinking water today? This is how I talk to myself. I'm you need an orange, you need some antioxidants right now.
You need to rest.
Yeah. And it's not only just noticing what you need, but actually creating the space for you to actually respond and listen, and creating that safe space within yourself where you build that self-trust to be I said I was going to do this thing. I'm going to do it. Today, just a mini little example, I got finished eating dinner and I was I'm not washing these dishes. Ew. I'll do it in the morning. And then I went to go brush my teeth, and every day after I brush my teeth, I wash the dishes. It's just a habitual thing now. So I was washing dishes and I was I really said I wasn't going to do these dishes, but thank you. Thank you that I'm doing it, because now future Bria doesn't have to worry about doing the dishes.
Yeah. You can sleep in tomorrow. You can just not have to worry I have to wake up to dirty dishes in the sink.
Exactly. I can just make breakfast and keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the intentionality of, for me in my life, is building habits and routines that support my future self so that she can live her best life with ease. I used to be so against what's the word I'm looking for? Where you time out every second of your day.
Time management.
Not time management, time blocking. Time blocking. Yeah, I used to be ill. And then I read this book called Atomic Habits, and I saw the reason behind it. A lot of people tell you you need to know why you should do this, and I'm why?
But it's appealing to me.
Yeah, but I thought it was overwhelming, but it's actually, you're just creating a bit of certainty for yourself. It's so nice. I notice the difference when I wake up and I'm wait, what am I doing today? Yeah, so you can create a bit of certainty for yourself in an unpredictable world when you actually say you're going to do something and do it. Cause like before
Mhm.
I used to time block and like I didn't do it. I was like, I'm not doing this. But like you have to build that trust with yourself. And I had to remind myself of like times when I actually did follow through. I was like, when I enrolled in school and I had to show up for my class at this time, I showed up
Mhm.
for my class at that time. I went to work, I ate lunch, went to my next class. Like I was
Mhm.
on it. And I was like, even though my life was so chaotic during that period, I knew what was happening and I knew what I needed to do to get through my week.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think that's really important when it comes to, again, like self mastery. Like, you know what you need to like
Mhm.
get through see yourself through on the other side.
Oh, yes, I love exactly how you put it because it's so funny because, as an academic advisor in higher ed, we talk about time management, prioritizing, self-care, having a balance, everything. And it's like time management, a lot of my students and clients struggle with it because
Hmm.
again, they'll time block to see where their time's going and then they don't follow through and then they just feel like
Yeah.
it's discouraging. It's a little discouraging to look back at your plan or your time blocking and be like, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And I always remind my students and clients, like, okay, well, let's take a look at that. Why is that? Is that still something? Is that still a priority? Maybe it's not, and that's okay. Or is that an expectation from someone else, not yourself? Like, why? Again, going back to the intention, like, why did you say you were going to do that? Is
In
it
the
to
first place.
in the first place, yeah. Or is it for yourself? And then sometimes when I have clients or students that are like, well, this is something I really want. And I'm like, okay, well, if you really want this, then what actions do you need to take? And then they're
Yeah.
like, well, I really have to go and do it. And I'm like, yes. And then we have that conversation of like, okay, is there anything holding you back? And honestly, like, math is not my thing, but 90% of the time, I would say it goes back to the fear of failing.
Yeah.
The fact that what if I don't get to where I want to get to, or what if I fail along the way? And it's like just having those
Mm.
conversations of like what are the intentions behind our choices and decisions, and how do we navigate that when maybe we don't get the desired result, and it's like okay, well let's reflect and see how we can do things differently.
Yeah, I love going back and reminding my clients like you're already doing things and you just need to notice the things that you're already doing before you can even take on the next big thing. Cause like I said, brushing my teeth, like that I'm doing it. Like it might seem like really little and mundane, but I'm like, you're eating every day, you're supporting your body by brushing your teeth, washing your body, like presenting yourself in the way that makes you feel good. Like you're already doing these things. Don't get hung up on this one little thing when it's just like you kind of have to play with it. I always like to kind of do like this little exploration thing where it's like, where is the best time in your day to actually do that thing? Because
Mhm,
maybe it's not that you don't want to do what you're actually wanting to do. It's just like maybe that's not the right time to do
mhm,
it. Like in the middle of the day, after you eaten lunch and you got the itis and you want to take a nap, maybe we should move this to at a different time. So I think there's a bit of intentionality at every piece of the puzzle. Why do you want to do it? Why are you choosing this time to do it? Why do you think this is the best time? Let's be intentional about the fact that if this doesn't work at this time, where can we see, like, where's your attention naturally during the day? Because like again, the cycles, like going back to like your natural like energy cycle throughout the day, when you know yourself, you know that you're not going to have the energy to do this. Like I'm a morning person and an evening person, so I do
uh,
all my work like the
um,
afternoon. You cannot catch me. Like I'm taking my break, I'm doing a craft, I'm going for walks, I'm having lunch, like, and I don't try to push myself to do things during that time where my body is just naturally like in rest mode. So
mhm.
yeah, I could talk about this all day.
Yes, so it's super important because like you said, the intentionality and there's so much self-awareness that comes with that. Like you say you're a morning person. I'm not, but my job requires me to. But I've noticed, sometimes, even social media or just like people portray like wake up, be productive, go to the gym. Look, I've tried that. It doesn't work for me. For
Yeah.
me, it works the gym be my last task before dinner. So like I get home, I eat and shower and relax. That works for me. So people
Yeah.
be self-aware of like what works for you, what time in the day, do mornings, middays, afternoons,
Yeah.
nights. I know some people really work really well at night. Um,
Yeah.
if you found your time, I know in college that's I would stay up. I would never did I wake up early to do an assignment. I
I
rather
could,
till 2 a.m. than wake up early to do an assignment. So
I
oh, well.
I still can't pull an all-nighter to this day. Like at 9 o'clock, I need to be in bed. But I'm the type of morning person where it's like, I like waking up in the morning, moving slow, having my quiet time, having my tea, journaling, like taking my time, making my bed. Like, I don't like to talk to people during that time. Like, I'm a morning person, but I'm a morning person for
For yourself.
myself. I'm
Nice.
not trying to be like, good morning. I'm not one of those people. I'm still in my house before, like, catch me at like 9 o'clock and then I'll be ready. Cause I wake up like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I just like having that extra time, and I thoroughly enjoy watching the sunrise. So like that's something
Okay.
I enjoy, like having my tea. I open these blinds back here. These are what,
Oh,
east or south facing windows. I see the sun, like it's beautiful. So that's where it's like intentionality. Even though I lived in places where I didn't face the way that the sun rose, I still woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, the cotton candy skies and stuff. Yeah, wow. But that's just me. And it's just like finding little moments like that in your day that keep you going.
that's so funny. Yeah, you see, I'm the opposite. If I need an hour before work to get ready and do what I gotta do, then that's when I wake up. So I'm like, okay, up, and then every like minute.
Yeah. And
That's awesome that you take you focus on yourself and like relax in the morning and chill.
yeah, I love it. It just allows me to like really be present going forward in my day. And like, I don't feel like I'm rushing. And like, my morning routine in the morning is like 2 hours long. And I know some people are like, Bria, what? And I'm like, no, I need every minute. I
Yeah.
take my time making breakfast in the morning. I listen to a podcast. I listen to music. I dance. Like, that's just what I do. And so it's just like, these are things that support me so I can tackle my to-do list. And so I help my clients, find that. Like, what is your daily essentials? That's what I call them. Like, what do you need to do every day to make
Mhm,
sure that you feel good about living life?
mhm.
So yeah, I could talk all day.
Yeah, live it with intention.
Yeah, it's intentionality, baby. Come on.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, I guess that definitely connects to, again, our experiences, moments in our lives where we felt
Yeah,
unhappy or we felt lost or unsure. And it's like, okay, well, like, you mentioned like with your clients, you ask them like, what are your daily musts, or like
yeah,
foods, people like, there's some people that are like, oh, I need to get my nails done every 2 weeks, like that's the form of self-care. I don't do it every 2 weeks, but I do get my nails done, but it's like people
yeah,
are very strict on like what they do, the reason why they do it. They're like, it makes me feel good, coffee's in the morning. Some people really like drinking coffee early in the morning. I wish I could. My stomach's very sensitive, but I'm like, I love my coffee, but I need to eat a little bit beforehand. But
yeah,
yeah, being intentional on like the little things that matter to you, and even if it's
yeah.
5 minutes a day, like you were saying that you worked 2 jobs and went to school.
It's
Girl, that was
crazy
me in
time.
college.
It's
Yeah.
crazy times.
And then you mentioned you were during COVID. Like, oh my God, I was finishing my graduate program during the pandemic and working full time, going to grad school full time. If I had 5 minutes at least for myself, I needed that, even if it was 5 minutes, because I'm like, I need to do homework after work. I need to do this. I need
Yeah.
to do that. So 5 minutes kept me grounded, honestly, and that was
Find those pockets.
yeah.
Find those pockets. I remember, like, just to like kind of wrap up what we're talking about before like we start closing. I
Yeah.
remember, because like if we're talking about how we navigated things in life, I remember vividly one morning, because like when I was in boot camp, y'all, I don't really share many of my boot camp stories, but I was in boot camp and we were like outside PTing, working out in the grass, and it's like 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock. That's probably why I wake up early and I can do it. But we were like outside and we were doing push-ups, but the sun was rising. And I tell you, I was distracted. I was getting yelled at because I wasn't doing what I need to do, but I was enjoying that sunrise. Okay. We was
You did
peak,
that.
and I needed that moment to like get through the day. And I remember vividly, like at night when I was laying in my rack, again, another boot camp story, like from my rack where I was laying, I could see the moon every night. And like just little moments like that, like savoring that moment and knowing like, okay, Bria, when you get ready to get in your rack tonight, the moon will be there waiting for you to say hello. And it's just like finding those little pockets because we need them.
Yes, we do for sure.
Yes. And so as we're like wrapping up and closing, I love for everybody to kind of share about like what they're working towards.
Mhm.
So in a year, 6 months from now, like where do you hope to see yourself? Just so
Mhm.
you know, you can listen back to the podcast. It's a little time capsule to see if like you actually did the thing or if you forgot about it. It's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, just to share about that and then to let everybody know where they can connect with you going forward.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my goal for sure is to continue making sure that I check in with myself and make sure I make choices that make me happy at the end of the day. Because I feel life's always going to happen. There's going to be family expectations sometimes, depending where we come from, anything. But checking in with myself is like, what do I want in this season of my life? Because again, I feel like I need to be taken care of to be able to do, serve my students, serve my clients. So
Yeah.
yes, for sure. A priority right now is I want to continue investing in my coaching services and support my clients. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but the main reason why I decided to become a life and career coach is because I noticed when I graduated with my cohort from undergrad and my friends, and I started seeing, I started off my career right after I graduated, all of that. And I noticed like some of my friends had a hard time finding that next thing. So that transition period from undergrad to either grad school or the career world as a first gen
Mhm.
professional. And it could feel very lonely. And I want to make sure no one feels lonely through that transition, especially
Mm.
when you're first generation. There's majority of the time you don't have a sibling or someone to ask, like, hey, how do I do this? How do I prepare for interviews? What do I say? Like, just show up confidently. So a goal of mine is to really continue serving my clients and continue honestly pursuing my own passion because
Yeah.
practice what you preach type of thing. Like my passion is supporting students, supporting my clients for them to pursue their ideal dream life and career. Again, I go back to like, I did not want to depend on anyone financially. And I wanted to make sure I was taking care of myself because I did experience financial insecurities as a kid. My dad didn't always send the child support and my mom didn't work. And then when she started working, it was hard for the family for her to raise 4 kids on her own. So the dream and goal is to continue taking care of myself. I think it goes back to taking care of my inner child and making sure that they know they're safe now. Because at a point in my life, I didn't feel safe and we were struggling financially. And I want to make sure other first gen women of color who come from single parent households, divorced families, maybe they moved out of state or they're away from the home or they feel like their family doesn't understand. Because I know for sure sometimes in the Latinx community, it's like, oh, like you have to come back home and help the family.
Mm.
Thankfully, my mom's very supportive of like continue your dreams, pursue your passions, do what makes you happy. But I know like for some of my clients and students, there's a lot of expectations to come back home. So my dream is for everyone to, gain that clarity and that self-trust and confidence to be like, even though this is so scary, I'm gonna do it. Going to
Mhm.
college, going to grad school, even launching my own coaching services was scary, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it because this is what I want for my future self.
Mhm.
So my dream and goal is definitely to continue supporting other first gen women of color that want the same thing, that they want to feel independent, feel fulfilled in their choices. And again, their choices in this period of their time. Because I love how you said it earlier, how like your future self obviously doesn't know like what you're living in the moment is going to prepare for your future.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure how you said it, but I was like, oh my God, it just clicked when you said that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I said I wanted to be a teacher, but then through my experiences, I was like, no, I like the one-on-one because
Yeah.
of what I was experiencing at that time. So I guess that would be the dream, the goal, and how people can connect with me is through Instagram. I'm mostly active there. My Instagram is at Mendoza with double Z dot Jojo. And yeah, anything else I missed?
No, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. I love this conversation. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot out of it. And if you guys feel compelled to work with JoJo, I will leave all her information down in the show notes and in the description for all of you. So, yeah, thank you just so much for being here. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. And you know the drill already. We talked about a lot today. In this chat. So I want to give you some time to reflect. So the next 3 minutes are for you to sit with whatever came up for you. So what were your key takeaways? What do you want to carry with you into this week? So The next 3 minutes are some time for you to reflect. There will be reflection prompts on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, and reflection prompts in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast. But if you want to be a part of the conversations, the comments are always open. Tag us on Instagram. We would love to hear your thoughts, share your 3 cents with us. And so, yeah, just thank you for being here. And also just like happy reflecting. We're here for you. And also, I'm so excited to like potentially chat with Jojo again in the future, maybe a year or two from now, see where you're at, and kind of share any new lessons learned. But thank you all for being here, and happy reflecting. I will see you all tomorrow. So bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Happy reflecting. Hey everybody, I really hope you enjoyed today's girl chat. I loved having these conversations, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy tomorrow's episode as well. But before you go ahead and click to the next girl chat, I want you to share your thoughts on this one. So you can go to the comments and share your key takeaways, what gem resonated with you, and just let us know your thoughts. And so, yeah, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep the girl chat going, even though it's over. But you can start the conversation down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on the podcast, I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot of this episode and tag us at DoulasBloom on Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Same thing, keep the conversation going, share it with a friend, let us know your key insights, your key takeaways, and yeah, I want to know your thoughts. How did you feel today's girl chat went? What resonated with you? So yes, that is what I want. And then I will see you tomorrow. For the next girl chat, and I'm so excited about this series. So excited about it. So but I will see you tomorrow for the next girl chat, and yeah, I love y'all. Bye.